Hey everyone, this is Wayne here, and I want to give you 5 tips in increase your sales of the Lockly product. Now, the Lockly product is the one that's being featured right now, so that's why I want to talk about it. It is also the hottest selling product on my truck. I have literally sold over $100,000 of Lockly product this year alone to date. That's right, $100,000 this year to date in Lockly product. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that with these 5 tips. Number 1 is going to be to use the product. People don't buy something that you don't believe in, and they can tell if you don't believe in it because you don't use it. Okay, so the very first thing that I highly recommend is grab a product, grab a Lockly product, and put it on your door so that you start to become familiar with it. If you use the product, then the number one sales pitch that I use and the number one sales tactics that just shuts everything down and stops them from doing more research and looking up online pricing and doing all of these other things that your clients will do is when I tell them this. Look, I have this product on my door. I, as a security professional, choose to use this product to protect myself and my family. If it's good enough for me, I guarantee it's good enough for you, and I wouldn't recommend anything that I don't personally use to you. Right there, that is your number one sales pitch. That's my number one sales tactic and sales pitch, and it's not even a pitch because it's 100% true. So get a lock, get familiar with the latest and greatest. Get a facial recognition Visage and put it on your front door and start becoming familiar with the product and start actually using it and see what it's like to scan your face in, see what it's like to use the fingerprint, see what it's like to engage with the product and use the app and send out e-keys and understand the product very, very well. That's the first, most basic, and number one thing that you can do to start increasing your sales so you can get that $100,000 worth of sales in your bank account as well. The second number of things that we need to do is we need to stock the product. When I went from, sales being pretty average and then them starting going up and finally just blowing it out of water is stocking the product. 85% of my sales are from stocked product that we keep on the truck. I literally keep Lockly products, levers and deadbolts on my truck, just like I keep mechanical locks on the truck. So just like I have a silver or 2060 finish, ADA compliant lever lock that's mechanical on my truck in storeroom function and entry function and passage function and grade 1 deadbolts and all of that stuff. Just like I keep that stuff on the truck, I now keep the Lockly product on there as well. And that's when it started flying off of the truck. This was the number 2, the second most beneficial thing to push sales that I have done so far, and it literally changed everything. One of the other great sales tactics as well is after you tell them, this is what I use on my home, and then I will literally hand them the box. A lot of times you'll be on a job for something completely different. You'll be rekeying the house. You'll be doing something completely different. You'll be doing a repair. You'll be doing something totally different. One of the things that I ask is, have you ever thought about or considered using an electronic lock for your home for your family's convenience? Even though they didn't call me there for that, I simply ask the question. And if they say no, conversation over. If they say, yeah, I have seen a lot of those things. Why? Do you recommend something? Or what do you use? That's when I go back to the truck. I hand them the product, which I think they're going to use, either the deadbolt or the lever, and I will literally put it in their hands. They have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising, graphics, verbiage, explaining how things work, and putting all of that into the box that they put this product in. Just use that and let the product sell itself. It will sell itself every single time. Once they've confirmed that they're making a good decision because they're taking your recommendation as a professional, they will read the features and they will sell the lock to themselves. I know it sounds crazy. It's 100% true, and I can't tell you how many times this happens. This is literally my sales 101 that I go through. Have you considered using an electronic lock or installing an electronic lock? Oh yeah, we have thought about that. We've seen a couple different things, but we didn't know what to go with. Do you have any recommendations? Yes, I do. I personally use the LOCKLY Visage with facial recognition technology and biometrics. I know it sounds like it's a little over the top. However, I can tell you that when my wife is coming home, or even when I'm coming home and have 2 hands full of groceries or tools, and I come up to the lock and it scans my face before I'm even at it all the way, and the door is already unlocked, it is fabulous. It's fantastic. It makes things so much easier, and I don't have to think about my door locking. I don't have to think about my lock at all. It takes it off the plate because I know it's going to auto lock when I leave. I can check the app and make sure that it's locked when I leave. I know my wife isn't going to forget to lock the door, and I know my kids aren't going to forget to lock the door either because it's already all taken care of and it's all automatic. Once I do that and I hand them the lock and I put it in their hands, it's as good as sold. I pretty much put it on the door and there is a 98% close rate after that fact. After I go through that, after they've shown interest, mind you, and I'm not forcing anything on them. Don't ever do that. Pushy, nobody likes a pushy salesman. So when you ask the question, have you thought about installing an electronic lock? As soon as the answer is yes, great, go forward. If the answer is a dead no, and you've probably got someone who's got some kind of technology phobia and you're wasting your time anyways, and then you're going to come off as a pushy salesman and you're actually probably going to ruin the rest of the engagement that you've got. The number 3 top sales tip that I'll give you is to be informed about the product. You have to know what it does. And this goes back to the number 1 option in sales tip is to actually use the product. The more you use it, if it's on your home and you're always engaging with it and you know what it's like to send out an e-key to a vendor or a family member, if you know what it's like to utilize your lock on a rental property, you know what those benefits are going to be, and you'll be able to tell them, yes, it does facial recognition, it does fingerprints, it does biometrics, it has the PIN Genie that scrambles the code on there. So if you've ever seen a lock that has a regular keypad on it, it's pretty easy to tell after a couple of years which numbers are rubbed off or which ones have the most wear on them, and it's pretty easy to figure out what a combination is with that, so you don't have that problem with the PIN Genie factored into it. Then understanding that it uses Bluetooth technology. It will connect using Bluetooth. You can operate the lock using Bluetooth, and as a separate entity, you can use Wi-Fi. So if you're in close proximity to the lock, you can utilize your phone and communicate with it via Bluetooth. That's one-on-one. That is, if you don't have any Wi-Fi, you could still communicate with the lock using your phone via Bluetooth. You have to understand the differences between the two and communicate that to your customer. The second one is that if you do have Wi-Fi, you can control the lock from anywhere that you have a Wi-Fi connection and the lock has a Wi-Fi connection. So you can use RFID cards, you can use the keypad, you can use e-keys, you can use your phone, you can use your face, you can use your fingerprint, and you can use a code. All those different ways to get into the lock. Number 4 is going to be having 2 separate ways to bid this. Now, as soon as you send an estimate over, I don't like putting part numbers on the estimate because you know the next thing that they're going to do is they're going to go online and they're going to start price checking you. And if they see that they can buy it for themselves cheaper and you're already gone, they're probably going to do that and you're going to lose the sale in most cases. So I do not put part numbers on there. I want them to come back to me to ask any questions that they have. And if they have any specific questions, I will send them direct links directly to the manufacturer, who's probably not going to have the pricing listed on their website. The other way to bid that is, okay, what are we after? Under normal circumstances, you're a locksmith. You normally go out, and I don't know how much you charge, but I'm usually charging around $125 to $175 for a service call, depending on where I'm going and how far away it is. So you've got that factored into it to cover your time and fuel and expenses and vehicle maintenance. And then it's usually around $35 for a lock cylinder rekey is usually where we're at. So normally we're at about $150 to $200 per call. Whereas if you shift over to this access control and you're selling this lock, now you can increase your profit margins tremendously. You don't have to have that ludicrous markup in your product. You can bid it out, and you can bid that out to where you're selling it for pretty much what you can see it advertised for online. You're adding a service call to it. You're adding a labor to install it. and I do a 1 hour minimum. So now I'm making $145 for that hour instead of $35 for a simple rekey. So by the time you add those things up, now all of a sudden that $600 to $700 that you needed to hit for your target for a profit margin on that, or total sale to make your profit margin on that, because it's very difficult to sell the lock for an upsell of that much, then that really helps out as well. The other way is I've got a flat bid as well. How much for a keypad deadbolt installation? It is $599. I already have it all figured out in a one quick answer. Boom. And then if they want a breakdown of that, then I can then break it down and I can show them how we get to that number. But the lock itself maintains that number that they're going to see online, because you just can't compete with online stuff like that. And then the fifth tip is always sell training and setup. Okay. You can't factor in how long it takes to put the lock on the door. I always have a separate training and setup fee, and normally I'm going to be with that client from between 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on how tech savvy your customer is or your client is. And that way I'm selling that as well. So it's not just selling the lock and then just saying, hey, the lock I bought it for $300, so I need to sell it for $600 and add a service call onto it. Okay. That is kind of an old school mentality of how to sell things. And in today's age, when everybody's looking up prices online, you need to be armed with new tools and new tactics like the ones I'm giving you here, so that you're knowledgeable, you're understanding of what the customer's needs are, and you get to that price and that target anyway. So service call, the price of the lock, the installation, labor installation of the lock, you can flat bid that, or you can add it as an hourly charge, however you want to do it. And then you sell the basic training and setup as well, and technical support, because your knowledge is valuable and you definitely need to be charging. If you take the sales tactics that I just gave you and you start applying them and you install one of these locks on your front door right here, right now, the most advanced one that you're comfortable with, that you can get familiar with, the Visage is flying off of the shelves. Literally, that's my number one seller. And then you start stocking the product in your truck at all times. I mean, that's where it was just guaranteed. My sales just went through the roof right after that. And that's how we're starting to sell over $100,000 worth of the product in 7 or 8 months now, and that's only continuing to increase. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this really does help you sell more product. I hope it helps you sell more products across the board, but especially with LOCKLY, because they offer such a great product that solves so many needs. It's an easy sell. It's an easy way to start really increasing your profits. And from me to you, happy sales, and go out there and get that income. Start increasing that bottom line. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.